But, we'll line it up right. Hey, do you think it's...
Yeah, Keith.
Do you ever think, like, where does time.is go for their time.is? What if they're the ones who's not right in the time?
Keith, I will say this. My brain sometimes wanders there, and I say to it, no. That way madness lies.
Yes, it's the part of, like, a medieval map that tells you that there's, like, sea monsters.
Right, yeah, there's like a hydra out there or something. I don't know.
Do not ponder those worlds.
No.
Did you know that time.is has a daily time quote?
That's... Okay,
if you scroll down a little bit, it gives you a daily quote about time. If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over? Says John Wooden.
Ooh, John Wooden knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Dang, John Wooden, you just nailed everybody.
Yeah, it's really nice when somebody can take
Keith,
the... Yeah?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to step on what you were going to say.
Mine's really good.
These people came, they thought they were coming for like a podcast about the launch of the Nintendo Switch and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but what they got was fucking egg on their faces about how mismanaged their lives are.
Yeah. Can I just say how important it is that someone took the quote, "A stitch in time saves 9," and made it something anyone can understand?
He basically translated it.
He did. He took it out of the realm of total horseshit.
Yeah, he translated it from pictographs into modern language.
Yeah. When I was younger, I couldn't. I think somebody explained to me like 3 times what that meant, and it's not that it was a complicated definition. It's just that like I just didn't have the capacity to listen. Like,
well,
I just couldn't.
There's also the fact that like everybody. Well, not everybody, but some yahoos out there still say that phrase.
Yeah.
But, like, they don't say it right. They don't use the correct inflection. It's a stitch in time saves 9.
They missed the commas.
Not a stitch in time.
Right.
Like, we're not in a time travel Pulp Fiction novel.
No. This isn't a novella. This isn't a William Gibson novella.
Sure. Ooh.
What's up?
Have you ever read A Stitch in Time Saves 9 from William Gibson?
No.
It's a guy named Stitch. He goes back in time, saves 9 people. It's amazing.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
I remember this. I never read it because I was above.
Sorry, and then there's computers.
Right. And then
there's computers, and maybe computers don't make our lives better.
No, and maybe people can use them magically. There was a book when I was in 5th grade in the school library called Just in Time, but it was Justin Time. His name was Justin, and his last name was Time or something, but
we'll show you the way.
He was writing on something. He was writing
still
on like
thing, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's like a kids show now, I think, because I just Googled it.
Yeah, it might be something totally different.
Yeah. I'm seeing a bunch. I'm seeing now that there's a lot of different things called Just in Time, and none of them.
I mean, it's hard to imagine 2 separate human minds coming upon that same pun, because how could you possibly? But it seems like it may have happened.
Hey, do you want to talk about Nintendo Switch and Zelda?
Well, first I would just like to say that
you're sounding better right away.
I sound better. I realize that. Here's the thing, though. Since we last recorded, like over the couple days after that, my voice got much better, but not completely better. But like I would say 90% back to full Kyle.
Yeah.
Right? And then
up from 6th, passed through Keith, and then back to Kyle.
Right. But then the bronchitis shit is still not going away. Then on Monday, I started throwing up and having diarrhea. I had like some kind of stomach flu. I had to go to the ER for IV fluids because I was fucking so dehydrated and all this shit.
IV
and then that was
fluids?
a couple days ago. Yeah.
Kyle, you know that you could have just drank water earlier.
No, Keith, I couldn't. because every time I drank water, my body would take that water and say, "No, thank you. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't want this," and it would put it back.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it would put it back.
Now, do you think that you had a serious illness, or was it just a real jerk of a stomach bug?
I mean, yeah, I think it was a real jerk. I think it was a big jerkwad. And here's the thing, though. You don't
think it was dysentery, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I would have to assume
because that's what dysentery is. It's basically pooping until you die.
Right, but I'm not dead though, so I think probably was not that.
Listen, dysentery is not as big of an issue in 2017. It turns out.
I mean, I guess.
Because we have IV. They just didn't have
fluids.
IV in the Oregon Trail.
They just gave me fluids for 4 hours, and then.
Was it saline?
Then I got better.
Is it saline?
I would have to imagine that it was.
Because they say fluids, and that is not specific. Because that could be Coke.
No, it's not. Yeah, it could be anything.
It could be Coke. They could be putting Coke in you. Is the bag brown?
It could be someone else's blood. Okay, but here's my point, though, right? It's okay, so I had bronchitis for 2 weeks. It was a fucking nightmare. Then the week after I had bronchitis, I still wasn't completely better. Also, I got a normal cold after that. Then, as a big fuck you, I got a stomach flu, and that went for a couple days. And then just today, when we decided to do this podcast this morning, my voice was basically totally fine. I hadn't had a sore throat in a few days or anything. And then basically it was just as my stomach decided it was more or less completely better, I got a sore throat. My voice started to sound like shit. The bronchitis was oh, cool, it's our turn again. So then I just sound like a fucking nightmare again. I haven't sounded this bad in almost a week or more.
Well, you definitely sound better than you did when you were here on Sunday.
I know.
Which was less than a week ago.
That's just why I wanted to bring it up, because I know it sounds like, oh, Kyle's really bad. Now Kyle still sounds bad, but sounds better. I just want to be clear, in a way, I'm worse.
In a way, right.
I got better and then worse.
You took a step forward and then pooped way
2 steps back.
Yeah. You did say diarrhea on a podcast. Is that even allowed? I know we can say fuck, but can we say diarrhea?
I know. Gross. It's pretty gross. It's pretty gross.
It's gross to say, to think about.
Yeah. It's
my version of George Carlin's 7 words you can't say on TV would be way shorter because it would just be diarrhea. Here's the one word you can't say anywhere. It's diarrhea. Don't talk about it. It's gross.
Yeah, no. So here's the thing, though, is that I got that stomach flu, and then I told my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh, that's weird," because I was throwing up all night Saturday, and I just thought it was food poisoning or something. I guess there's something going around. And then later that day, Lucas had to come home early from school because he was throwing up, and then by the end of the night, Nicole also felt like death. It just whatever this bug was, it just decimated my entire family more.
It got to your mom?
I think it came from my mom, but she's it's one of those weird mom arguments where it starts out kind of good-natured, I'm oh, haha, mom, yeah, I'm pretty sure you gave it to me, duh. And she's no, I'm pretty sure I didn't. And I'm yeah, but seriously though, you got sick first, so how could it not have been from you? And they're
okay.
No, Kyle, I don't think I did. It's okay, I guess this conversation's over now. Thanks for not making it weird.
Can I tell you this? That sounds 100% like your mom, though.
I thought you were going to say it sounds like your mom, and I was going to be yeah, they're sisters.
No. I'll say this. To support your argument... You're faking it.
Yeah, a little bit. It's one of those throat itchy coughs. It's I'm just coughing because my throat itches. So really, I could cough. There's no reason for me to cough at all, so I could cough as much as I want.
It's a utilitarian cough.
Keith, I just learned today that you got a Switch and got Zelda. I did not realize this.
Oh, that's messed up.
But I didn't know that you also did.
Yeah, I thought that we had talked about it. I thought that I told you that I was definitely gonna get one.
No.
But I guess I didn't. So you know what
you were
happens?
getting on Wii U, if anything.
What's that?
I thought you were getting on a Wii U, if anything.
No. I'm not. That's not. You know, I'm an early adopter.
I guess you are.
Yeah,
I mean, when I just think Keith and early adoption, it's just the 3DS debacle just eclipses everything in my entire. I can't even.
Yeah.
I don't even know anything else.
But Kyle still, after years of it being a successful device, is still on me about when I bought a 3DS on the day it came out.
But just listen here. You bought the game. You bought the system when there were no good games for it.
Yeah.
And then the price dropped by $100 before any good games came out.
I think it dropped by $70. I think
you
it was
know what your
definitely less
fucking
than
big
100.
killer app was for the 3DS that you had when you got it?
That submarine game?
Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, I had Street Fighter 4. That was fun.
That
There was something
that
else that I
copy-
had.
that-
Oh, you know what it was? I got fucking Pilot Wings. I love Pilot Wings.
Was that?
It's not good. Yeah.
I guess the last time we had this discussion, you were like, excuse me, Mario 3D Land," and I had to inform you that came out like a year to a year and a half into the 3DS's life.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing that I always said was like, yeah, but come on, ambassador program. Now I'm an ambassador.
Yeah, so like Balloon Fight.
Ambassador. Do you know what that means?
But you
I
don't-
have
you don't
diplomatic
even like
immunity.
any of those games.
I have. First of all, I liked several of those games. Second of all, diplomatic immunity. Do you have any idea how many crimes I've committed since then that I've just gotten away with?
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's only through online services on Nintendo platforms, though, right?
No, because I'm a diplomat of the online services. Sort of like
Okay.
how, like, if you're a diplomat of Japan, you can come to America and park wherever you want and punch people and commit a
Okay,
series of
sure.
elaborate crimes, and no one can touch you because you have diplomatic immunity. It's sort of like that, but instead of being
As we all
from
know,
Japan,
that's exactly how that works.
right? Instead of being from Japan, I'm from Nintendo's online services.
Okay, here's the thing, Keith.
Yeah,
We've been going for 17 minutes at this point.
and it's not been good.
No, it's been great.
It's been weak tea.
No, that's not
Yeah.
true, Keith. You're
Do
bringing
people
it
still
down.
say that? Do people still say weak tea?
I've literally never heard anybody say that before.
I think it's the adult
So no.
version of weak sauce.
Ugh. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really like weak sauce, but I also don't want a variation or any kind of alternative.
Look at it's like,
anything
ugh, what are you in
on
5th
that.
grade? Weak sauce? No. I have weak tea. The adult drink. Let's talk about Nintendo Switch. I got one. You got one.
Yeah.
Did you get the neon one or did you get the gray one like a boring idiot?
A boring idiot? No, I got the gray one like not a weird idiot man-child.
Can you, first of all, I would like you to examine your opinions on the purple GameCube and get back to me. Thank you. Colored systems are sometimes really fun. Second, I did the thing that everyone with the money should be doing, which is I bought a Nintendo Switch, the neon-colored Joy-Cons, and then I bought a pack of the neon-colored Joy-Cons, and now, because they're opposites, I have a set of red controllers and I have a set of blue controllers.
Jesus Christ.
What?
You are a lunatic.
I'm not a lunatic. I'm a genius.
That's so. Okay, first of all, quick question, Keith.
Yeah.
Are you? See, I would have assumed that like the left one's always blue and the right one's red or something. But you're saying you got opposites?
No, the ones that you buy in package come with the opposite ones. The ones that come in the system is left blue, right red, and the ones that you buy are left red, right blue. So now instead of having two opposite colors, I have one set for each one. So I don't use opposite colored ones because I'm not a fucking maniac that's going around with a controller that is blue and then gray and then red.
Okay,
now I'm
but
walking
you
around
realize
with a
that that's how they
controller
sell it,
that's a
though,
blue stripe
right?
down the
Like,
middle.
nobody, like, you're the only person that's done this. Like, everybody else who buys that thing, like, so here's the thing. The only place that I've seen that color of Switch advertised is in this commercial for the Switch where it's nothing but like 8-year-olds playing Mario Kart 8 for 3 minutes. And I was like, yeah, exactly. This is what this is for. This is their play for 8-year-olds.
No, I think it's fun. I think it's festive. I think that
here's my
I
thing,
think that
right?
the thing about the Nintendo Switch, here's the thing. Okay, we're now 20 minutes in. I'm going to say the first thing about the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is a sweet little baby. It's a cute little guy, and I got the cute little guy colors for it.
It is pretty cute. Okay,
it's a
but
tiny
let me
little
get back.
thing,
Let me
and I
address.
have to take care of it, and I have to make sure it has all the good colors.
Real quick though, let me quickly address your purple GameCube thing in 2 parts. First of all, I guess it's 3 things. One thing is that I think I don't have the money. I mean, I bought like a case and a Pro controller and stuff, but I'm not some maniac with the kind of money to buy more Joy-Cons for no reason. So I would have had to have a mismatched one, which looks insane. I don't really like the colors to begin with. So
Kyle,
I don't think it looks as good as the
you got
purple
a case
GameCube.
and a Pro controller. That's more money than getting just another Joy-Con.
I know, but there was no way that I wasn't going to get the case in the Pro controller, though.
You didn't have a case that you could have used for it for something else, or just like
are you fucking kidding
it up
me?
in a blanket?
You think I have a case the size of a Nintendo Switch? Are you off your fucking rocker?
I do. I have like a little thing that works for it almost perfectly.
That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
So that's one thing. I in general, I just don't think it looks as good as the purple GameCube. The other thing is, I have a weird thing for always having the stock color of a system. That's why, even though technically the purple GameCube and the black one came out at the same time, the purple one is really the real GameCube, just like the gray one is really the real Switch. So like, I would have gotten that one anyways. And the third thing is, I'm gonna play this in public at some point, and I know that no one's gonna look at me and go like, "Oh, what's that young man doing? Some kind of stock trading? He looks like he's an industrious young man doing some high power business." But like, I don't want to just literally look like a kid after school waiting for his dad to pick him up from soccer practice.
First of all, you're a days away from being a 26-year-old grown man with a receding hairline. 27. Nobody is going to think that you're waiting for your daddy unless your daddy is a 45-year-old gay man that you're banging.
No, Keith, I'm not saying that I don't want people to think that I'm a little boy.
Well,
I'm saying that I don't
you for
want
a little
to
boy?
look. I'm saying that I do not want people to think even less of me than they will when they look at me and see me playing a video game, even though I think that's bullshit.
But if you think it's bullshit, why not protest it by having your video game color be fucking out there? Yeah, that's right. I'm an adult. I'm playing video games.
Reasons,
Fuck you.
For the first 2 reasons, I already don't like it. So I'm not gonna be like a weird and go out and fight for my right to have a thing I don't like as much.
Well, I think that I did the right thing by now I have a red controller and a blue controller.
No, Keith, you followed your heart, and I don't agree with it at all, but I do respect it.
I think that you wasted money on a fucking Pro controller.
No, dude. Well, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We can kind of get into it, but the reason I got the Pro controller was because of all the reports of the reliability issues with the Joy-Con and people saying, "Oh, it works perfectly when it's in portable mode and it's attached to the console, but there's all these issues when it's wireless." So I was like, "Well, I already was pretty sure I wanted a Pro controller. but I'm afraid that if I don't get one, like if I don't get one on launch day and they're sold out the next day, I'm going to be pissed off. So I'm just going to get one so that it's not an issue.
Yeah, I'd never heard any of the reliability stuff until after
Oh, really?
I already had one. Yeah, I didn't hear. I basically avoided everything about the Switch and the games up to a point, kind of intentionally. I like when I can have a thing and play a thing for a while before I listen to a bunch of people talk about it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like, I often feel the same way, but in this case, like, I was just so rabid for it that I could not help but consume as many, like, podcasts about Zelda and the Switch as I could.
Yeah, you were talking about, like, being sick and in a daze and listening to Austin and Patrick on the Waypoint podcast talk about it, just being like, give me the Breath of the Wild talk.
Yes. Breathe into me the wild.
So
which and no, but wait, sorry, real quick though. You're totally right though, because what ended up happening was like I got so overhyped for Zelda from all that my first few hours with Zelda, I was kind of a little disappointed because it didn't live up to like the imaginary standard that had been built up in my head.
Oh man, I was like totally blown away immediately. Like literally the first half hour of playing that game was a half hour of me just being every expectation being totally exceeded.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Sounds
we can talk about that maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know how much we have left to talk about the Switch, but I would just like to say that
Sorry, you were gonna say something negative about the Pro controller.
No. Well,
no?
I was not, but if I had any, like, this is a really, really weird negative thing to say about the controller, but it's at this point it's probably my least favorite way to play Zelda, and not because it's a problem at all, but because like the controller is so like modern video game standard that it just makes it feel like any other game system. But then when I'm playing with like the Joy-Cons, it feels insane and weird and new in a way that I really appreciate.
Yeah, that goes into a little what I was saying about the colors when I called it a little baby. The non-joke way of saying what I was saying was that like the Nintendo thing, for regardless of the detractors of Nintendo that will be like, Nintendo's for kids and they make toy shit that sucks and it's not cool for grown-ups. Like the Switch, like Nintendo systems do kind of feel like toys in the way that other systems don't feel like toys. Like Nintendo systems don't feel like boxes that are fake computers. Like it still feels like a toy, but in a good way.
But I think the Switch has the least of that in like probably since ever, really.
Oh, really? I think that the Switch has the most of it since. What? Yeah, because like I don't play it.
You have the fucking lollipop rainbow version, so of course you think that.
Well, I have that, and then it's got like the little controller, the comfort grip that you slide the Joy-Cons into, and it's like this little thing. And yeah, there's bright colors. I usually have the blue ones, but I've been using the red ones. And I don't. Yeah, and like there's like it's got like different modes. It's like a fucking transformer. Like you can play it with just the Joy-Cons or the comfort grip.
Yeah.
Or you can slide it onto the sides. You can plug it into your TV, and like it's like a fucking like it's a toy that does things. Like it's.
Okay, sure. I mean, like,
you know what I mean?
I've been at this point. I also have Snipperclips, but long story short, I don't really care for it, even though I think it makes a really great, adorable first impression.
I think it's pretty fun. I like
I've
that
just been doing like these.
About Snipperclips, just real quick. Just I like that it's not like what's the Rush Hour, that puzzle game with the cars?
That it's Rush Hour.
Yeah, that's what I said. Rush Hour, the puzzle. Yeah. And I just feel like Snipperclips is sort of like the opposite of that in terms of puzzle design, where that is like like you literally are roadblock. Like all you can do is do the one thing the way that it works. And Snipperclips is a puzzle. It's like, here's the thing that's kind of hard. Like figure out just like your way of doing it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I like that it's sort of a free form puzzle game without an actual like solution.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to step in and say I don't like puzzle games that have open solutions, but I think it's funny that you use that specific analogy because I thought you were going to say Snipperclips is cool just like Rush Hour is cool, and I was going to step in and say, Keith, you're super wrong because I fucking love Rush Hour and I don't like Snipperclips.
I picked Rush Hour because I know you love Rush Hour.
But so maybe you hit on like me. I mean, I've played so much of the iOS version of Rush Hour at this point that I'm no longer interested in playing it. But like, I guess I'm way more on Rush Hour's school of puzzle than I am.
Well, you like those fucking Infinifactory style games too.
Yeah.
That's more like Snipperclips, like in sort of puzzle philosophy, not an actual like how it plays at all, but just in the way that it's no. Well, I guess they do have like a least amount of moves thing, but Snipperclips
just feels weird and frustrating. It's just like
I
here, put this ball through a hoop, dumbass, and you're like, this is annoying.
I didn't feel that way. I didn't play any multiplayer of it. I just was like, let me try this out, and then I put a half an hour into it and cleared like the first section of 9 games or whatever.
Yeah, I was really excited to play it co-op, and I played it co-op with Nicole, and then I forgot that Nicole is a crazy person who's literally incapable of cooperating with somebody in a video game. So that just did not go well. So then I went back to single player and
incapable of
still
cooperating
did not really
in a video.
Like
What's the hang up there?
I think it's just like a thing where she likes her ideas and is really just doesn't have a good tool set on like communicating those ideas to somebody else, and not good at like receiving ideas from other people in like a back and forth kind of way.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that in a co-op puzzle game that wouldn't work.
Yeah. I'm interested to try it with you though, because I think we can kind of get into a groove where we have like a weird kind of cousin communication link thing.
Yeah, you're saying you want us to go into our patented cousin state?
Yeah, I think we need to achieve cousin overdrive and go into cousin drive mode, and achieve co-op puzzle success, triumph even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do that. Let's do that.
Okay, cool.
Especially because we both have officially opposite positions on the game.
Yeah.
Although I have not yet played a co-op.
It's weird. I think it's interesting. It's weird, but it's interesting, but it's okay. So Snipperclips only works with the controller single Joy-Con sideways thing.
Yeah. I played it with both Joy-Cons on the side of like in Switch mode.
Right. You can play it with both Joy-Cons only if they are attached to the Switch, basically as a concession to like, if we don't let them do that, then there's no way to play the game portably.
Right. Well, there's the kickstand. Anyway, I was playing single player, so that I had to use both Joy-Cons anyway.
But you can't do that though. If you put it on the kickstand, you can't play with both Joy-Cons. You have to do one sideways.
Oh yeah, good point.
Which is my point, was that like it's really, really weird and irritating and arbitrary that they put that limitation on you, but it did at least serve to make it so that I had one game on my Switch that forced me to try out the sideways Joy-Con mode.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't like
it's
that.
Fine.
It's fine. I don't like that the controllers are off center. Also that they're opposite off-center, so that if you ever end up with the other one, it's like, this is what I'm used to. It's not a big deal. It's just a little bit weird. It takes about 8 seconds worth of getting used to.
Yeah, that's what I think. The thing was, like, before the Switch came out, I heard, like, a bunch of people on podcasts and stuff, like, game journalist type people, like, really fucking taking it to task, specifically the right-hand one that has, like, the joystick kind of in the middle. And, like, it's fine. Like, it's not totally a problem at all.
It's not a problem at all. People just get mad at shit they've never done before. And, again, Kyle doesn't like this game, and I think it's, like, pretty, like, okay. So it's not the game. And I actually love the idea what I want to see from the Switch, in addition to all the stuff that you would expect from a console, especially a Nintendo console, I want to see more small games coming out more often.
Yeah.
On the eShop store, and games where you can super easily, like, simple games where just like, okay, I have 2 people and 1 controller. Let's just split the controller in half, and we can both play this weird, fun game.
I just feel the Switch is kind of getting at a style of console that has never existed before, that I have always wanted to exist, like the can be a portable, can be a console thing. Like, this is like a weird dragon I've been chasing my entire life. Like, I got the Game Boy Advance
player. That's why
player.
Kyle was on heroin for so long.
Yeah. I got the Game Boy Advance player for GameCube before I got an actual Game Boy Advance, because I was like, I want to play these games on my TV.
Yeah.
So I admit right up front that I'm totally like predisposed to just be a total Switch fanboy, but I feel like just everyone is taking this thing to task left and right for like the weirdest things.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that there's and I'm one of those like critical of Nintendo people that's like, oh, I don't want to let Nintendo get away with stuff just because they're Nintendo.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that consoles should do that Nintendo doesn't do well. But I think the thing that you also have to take into account is, like, what is Nintendo doing well that no one else is doing?
Right.
And for the last couple generations, that was, like, almost nothing. That was, like, very, very small.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't think we need to.
No, you don't think it's like
I don't think we need
list
to
is
tear
first
that apart.
Yeah, I think that the list essentially is first-party Nintendo games are really good. And then
that's a big one.
That's a big one. But then that's kind of it. But with the Switch, it's like, you know, it still has friend codes, and that's terrible and stupid.
Yeah.
Nintendo's an idiot. And like,
I know.
What fucking lobby is paying Nintendo like cash under the table to keep friend codes? Like, big friend code has a stake in Nintendo. Like, what is happening?
Did you see my tweet about that?
No.
Like, I tweeted like, I was like, I think at this point, Nintendo keeps using friend codes because they feel like at this point they're like tried and true. Like, can't argue with results. Friend codes work. And it's just like, no, man, what are you doing?
God, no, everyone hates it. Everyone hates it so much. Like, I don't have anybody. I know like 12 people with a Switch, which is huge, by the way. I know like 12 people with a Switch. I don't have anybody registered on my friend code thing.
To be fair, the other thing it lets you do is it lets you pull in your Miitomo friends list, a game that you have not played, but I have. So I have like 18 people on my friends list.
Well, see, that's different, but I didn't play Miitomo because fuck those people.
Okay. Well, here, I'll say this though about the
Miitomo
friend
thing.
code.
We talked about it a little bit on Twitter. The Miitomo thing was because when Tomodachi Life was coming out, they took out the glitch in Tomodachi Collection that let you have like gay partnerships,
right?
And then didn't put in an actual system for that. And then when pressed for comment, they were like, we don't want our games to be political. Like the idea of being gay is somehow a political statement. Yeah. And so I canceled my pre-order for Tomodachi Life and then never even looked at Miitomo.
Yeah. Well, the thing about I know I kind of mentioned this. Like, Miitomo wasn't even like Tomodachi Life was literally all about like, you're a person living a life, you've got a partner, and you've got stuff in your apartment. Like, Miitomo had none of that. You're not a person living a life in Miitomo.
No, it was just like weird messages. It was just like you can make your guy walk up to your friend and be like, I like eating green cats. Like that's like the most I know about Miitomo.
Well, the thing was, it was all about like. On the surface, it was all about like, oh, everyone answers the same questions, and then you learn all the different things that people say about these different questions and stuff. And then it was like, someone was like, oh, this is just like, the reason this is free, this is just one grandiose like data mining tool to like research people and stuff. And then I was immediately like, oh, gross, I'm never touching Miitomo ever again.
Oh, wow, there's another great reason to never touch Miitomo. I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Here's the thing about the friend codes, though. Nintendo hasn't said anything about this, so this is just speculation. But remember they said that the Switch was launching with no online service and that was coming later this year. Like, I think the idea with the friend codes, I don't think friend codes are ever going to go away on the Switch. But right now, you don't even have like an account name that you can give to somebody like you could on the Wii U. Like, I think that's coming later. Like, I think the friend code right now is like a bare bones placeholder.
Yeah, that is a super important thing because the Nintendo systems that operate friend code only with no way to do like usernames is like, it's super easy. I've had a gamer tag on Xbox Live for fucking 17 years now.
Yeah.
And it's super easy for someone to just be like, oh, what's your gamer tag? And then you're like, oh, it's this. And then, because that's Keith, the name that you pick, yeah?
Keith, actually, it could only have been 14 years at most, but I'm pretty sure you made yours in like 2006. So it's only been 11 years. Fucking get it together, Keith.
No, I had Xbox Live year one.
Yeah, but remember you did that thing where you like would use free trial cards and make new accounts all the time because your parents wouldn't pay for Xbox Live?
That's what I was doing for the first like year, and then for the next year I would you know what? This happened a long time ago. I think that I had a real account for a few years and then I couldn't get my parents to pay for it anymore, and then I used trial accounts to keep reactivating my account, and then I eventually started paying. But anyway, it's been essentially as long as it could possibly be. That is beside the point. Thank you, Kyle, for derailing me.
You're welcome.
It is very easy for someone to go, hey, what's the name you chose? And then you go, here's the name that I chose, and now we can be friends. And, like, with the 3DS and with other friend code things, it's like, hey, what's your friend code? It's like, let me get my thing. It's at home.
Yeah.
I've got to look it up. It's 100 characters long.
Yeah. Again, they already solved that with the Wii U. This is literally a step backwards.
It is. And I don't even understand, and I know that, like, I've never built a console. I've never built a video game console. Sorry for the times that I lied and said that I did make the 360. I'm sorry for when I said that. It was a lie. I've never built a video game console. But I don't understand if they already have the you said
that to Ken Kudaragi's face, by the way.
I did. I said
you told him that he should be ashamed of the PS3 because you've done better.
Yeah, I said I built the 360. You should be ashamed. Please give me one of your systems for free, so I can scope out the competition. That's what I said. And he gave it to me. Anyway, my point is that the architecture to have you send a thing to someone, have them accept it, and then your friends is there. What is so complicated with just being like, okay, well, instead of this obnoxious 16-digit code, it's a name that you pick and chose yourself.
Because they already have an account system. It's called the Nintendo account. It's in the Switch. I have one. It's attached to my Switch console. It's already there.
I also have one.
I don't understand.
I don't understand. It's already there. There's no... I don't know. I don't know what it is. And again... So this is all just me saying there's things that you can knock the Switch for.
Sure, yeah.
That other consoles are doing and that the Switch isn't doing. And but just the novelty of doing the thing that the Switch does, which is you can play the game in your lap on a bus and then you can attach it to your TV without even fucking shutting it off.
Yeah,
is like super good. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a great little system, and it's got the vent up top. And the vent smells like computer, and that's nice.
You know what, Keith? And this is, I admit, is an oversight on my part. I have not smelled the vent, but I can do so right now. Yeah,
if you could turn on your thing and smell the vent, is it on?
It's not on, and you know what? I got a little hint of computer, but it's not. I didn't get that pungent computer. Power cord.
Turn, I just like the idea that it's like a tablet, but it smells like a computer. Next time you play for a little while, when that fan's going and it's a little bit hot in there, take a whiff. That's a computer in there.
Yeah, sorry. I have all my Switch stuff in front of me because I felt like it might be good to be able to see it and hold it while talking about it.
Are you You're not playing though.
I literally just turned it on, but now I just turned it off.
Okay. Is there anything about the Switch and the way that it works does the design of it that we want to get to before we talk about Zelda 45 minutes into the Zelda podcast?
Yeah, well, I would say this is just as much a Switch podcast as a Zelda podcast. That's how I see it.
I saw it as predominantly a Zelda podcast. I'm not opposed to it being a Switch podcast.
Okay,
it's just the first 20 minutes wasn't even that.
Yeah, well, Keith, could I say it's a little late for it to not be a Switch podcast?
It is a little late. I should have brought that up immediately.
Let me list for you the topics that I think are worth covering about the Switch.
Yeah.
Joy-Con communication issues.
Never seen it.
Joy-Con grip.
Like it. Wait, Joy-Con grip meaning the little controller sleeve that you slot them into?
No, the Joy-Con grip, Keith.
What is that?
That's the thing where you put the Joy-Cons together and it makes a normal controller.
That's what I just said. That's exactly what I said.
Well, you said a little sleeve. I was imagining the wrist strap things.
No. I said the thing that you slot them into.
Okay, yeah, fine. That is the fucking thing that I'm talking about. Last thing, battery life.
Good so far.
Let's address these in order.
Okay.
What was the first thing I said?
The first thing was connectivity issues. I said I've never seen it.
Oh, I've actually experienced this a lot. This was a big problem when I was playing. So the first night that I had the Switch, it happened a couple times, but it was never really a problem. And this is what we're talking about, if you don't know, is that there's some wireless communication issue with the Joy-Cons, the little controllers that attach to the sides, such that beyond, like, once you start getting, like, more than maybe, like, 6 to 10 feet away from the system, they probably won't work. And also, they have, like, huge obstruction issues.
So apparently the left controller has its own Bluetooth receiver, and the right one has one sort of soldered into the circuit board underneath something else.
Yeah,
so when you have your hand over it, and then there's the thing over the actual receiver, and it's also a smaller receiver, there are people that are experiencing connection issues when they're using the controllers wirelessly.
Okay, I don't know the specifics, but
those are the specifics.
Before the Switch came out, the reports were all it's only the left one, and I've definitely had it for both of them. And the things are just like, it'll drop communication while you're playing. So like in Zelda, you'll push forward to run, then your Joy-Con will lose communication. You'll let go of the stick to stop running, but the console won't get the signal to stop running. So you just keep running and then you fall off a cliff and die. That's happened to me. But like specifically, I was in my living room. I had the Switch in the dock to the left of the TV, no obstructions, 6 feet away from me. Nicole and I are sitting next to each other on the couch playing Snipperclips, and like both of us are getting like these communication dropouts on our things where we're like rotating our little Snipperclip guy and he just keeps going even though we let go, and it's like huge bummer when that happens. But I haven't really experienced much since then. I also had some problems in my bedroom where I had the dock behind the TV. But since then, I have moved it in front of the TV and have not had a single problem after I did that.
That's good. It's weird. I haven't. I should talk to, because I have very rarely used it on the TV. I almost always have it either in Switch mode, but mostly I have it like on my desk, and I'm just sitting here with like in the grip with the controllers in the grip, and like my arms will be under the table. And the Switch will be in kickstand mode on the table. And I'm like just right there. So I haven't been far enough away to experience those issues. Mostly. Even, I have used it on the TV a bit. Haven't had a problem. I should talk to Cam, because he has pretty much only used it on the TV.
Gotcha.
See if he has had any connection issues.
Yeah, I have a good few hours clocked in playing it like in portable mode, but that's about it. I've mostly been doing it on the TV. Though I will say about playing in portable mode, I appreciate that I almost like don't even notice it. I'm just in that like game flow state where I'm in the game and not paying attention to the way that I'm playing it. Unlike sometimes if I'd be playing a game on the Vita, and especially if I'd be streaming something from my PS4 to the Vita, it's sort of like I can't escape the thing in the back of my head where I know that the controls that I'm using are not 100% adequate for the game that I'm playing or the size of the screen, but I don't have that issue with the Switch.
No, well, I think it's because it's the same system and not like streaming to the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the screen is bigger and the controls and the analog sticks are just bigger enough that it is no longer a problem.
I have a little 7-inch tablet, and I spend a lot of time like reading on it or watching something on it, like propped up while I am on my desktop or whatever. So I think I'm just used to watching playing things on a smaller screen.
Maybe.
Do you want to talk about the Zelda? Or no, we got two more things on that bullet list.
So, okay. Communication issues, check it off the list. Done.
Got it.
Joy-Con grip.
You solved it.
Joy-Con grip, I would say, I heard a lot of people complain about these stupid Joy-Cons, like, oh, the analog sticks are directly below the buttons instead of diagonally below the buttons, and it's uncomfortable, but I think it's fine. If it weren't for the communication issues, I would say you don't even need a Pro Controller. Otherwise, now instead I would say, if you buy a Switch and you start having these problems and you can't get it to stop, then get a Pro Controller and be sad.
Yeah, I love playing the games in the grip. I like it a lot. The grip is very comfortable. I don't have any issues with the placement of the thumbsticks, which is not an insane complaint, because that is my complaint with the DualShock controllers. I do not like the placement of the thumbsticks.
Okay.
I do like that there's not that fucking octagonal bullshit on the thumbsticks.
Well,
nice job, Nintendo.
That's been gone for 4 years because it was not on the Wii U.
They could have done it again. You never know.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair.
And didn't one of the auxiliary controllers for the Wii U also have that? Didn't maybe the Pro controller have it?
No, it was those were the Wii Pro controllers that still worked on the Wii U.
Oh, okay.
My favorite way actually to play Zelda at this point, because I've been sick so long, I set a TV up in my bedroom so I could lie in bed and play games. My favorite way is to just play with the two Joy-Cons just attached, just free.
What?
Which actually reminds me of when I was playing Twilight Princess at the launch of the Wii, and that was the first time you could ever do something like that, and I was just like, this is the future of game controllers. I bet in the future, game controllers will just detach in half so you can do this whenever you want. And it only took fucking 11 years or whatever, but it came back.
I like the idea that they saw the Wii and they were like, okay, number one, get rid of the wire. Number two, make the long one shorter. And number three, make the short one longer. And now you just got two little Wiimotes. That's what this thing is. I've never tried that. I'll give that a shot. It didn't seem like it would be great. Did you have, just for grip wise, did you have the little slider buttons, or did you just have them naked?
I've done both, and I think it all depends on how big your hands are, really. I didn't really notice a huge difference, but I ultimately settled on no slider thing.
Okay, naked, got it.
Free balling it.
What was this one again? The grip. Oh, I like the grip. What else you got?
Then I think I had one more thing. Oh, battery life.
Battery life.
The reports coming out from pre-release people saying oh, this thing will run Zelda for 2 hours if it's not plugged in or docked or whatever.
I've gotten definitely over 3 hours.
Yeah, that's way short. I've played this thing at least 2 to 3 hours, and it only used up 44% of the battery life. This thing runs Zelda way longer than 2 hours.
I have my brightness up pretty high, and I was so I was at 90% battery life when I started playing Zelda, and I was in my office without it plugged in, playing with the Joy-Cons attached to the Switch, and I was sick of playing Zelda by the time I got a low battery signal.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how long it was, but it was definitely probably around 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Like like the Joy-Con batteries, I don't know how, like maybe I have like defectively good Joy-Con batteries or something. I don't even know if I've seen the battery
I haven't
dip on these at all. Like, and
on one of the new out of the package, I used one of them for like 2.5 hours, and at some point, without ever having charged them ever, one of them dipped down to the second highest one.
Like it went from like full battery to like 3/4 battery icon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I've played for numerous hours with like the Joy-Cons detached. I don't know that not that I've been looking at the battery meters religiously or anything, but I don't even know if I've ever seen them below full
you'd
battery.
Notice. I think you'd notice. Because again, I haven't ever, except for using one of mine, never ever charged like straight out of the box, and it dipped down to the second highest one.
Like, I was just listening to the Bombcast earlier today, and Will Smith was saying that in his experience, the Joy-Con batteries will last just long enough that, like, if you're playing the Switch and you get a low battery and you dock the Switch and detach the Joy-Cons, that the Joy-Con batteries will last just long enough for the Switch itself to become fully charged again. I think that's a way low estimation.
That sounds way low. I listen. I'm not saying that Will Smith just likes to say shit all the time with nothing to back it up.
Whoa.
But that's definitely some that's definitely some fucking Will Smith just saying some shit bullshit.
Oh man, I don't keep that.
Maybe he should open up some
that's salacious.
Executable.
He's just saying he should take in some kind of executable action.
Yeah. All right, battery. I haven't. It seems fine in like standby mode. I haven't seen it. I haven't like had it.
Oh yeah, I put it in sleep mode and brought it with me in my bag. Was that?
I saw you tweet about this.
Yeah. I put the thing to sleep in the morning and put it in my bag and brought it to work. And 12 hours later, it had 95% battery. And I even played it for like 10 or 15 minutes. So sleep mode's good.
Sleep mode's good. All right. Do you want to talk about the game?
Okay, fine. God, for some reason, Keith just wants to talk about a video game.
I've been dying to talk about this game. I've been dying to talk about it.
Okay, Keith, can I tell
love
you?
it. I love
Keith,
it. What?
Keith, real quick. We've been talking so long about just the Switch that I'm a little tired.
No, we have to talk about Zelda.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Gotta talk about it.
Okay.
Zelda's really good. This is easily the best Zelda game that is a 3D Zelda game without even having to think about it. I can tell that.
I mean, I think there's a lot of, I think that's a multifaceted issue. You're talking about different decades.
Yeah.
You're talking about different, vastly different console generations.
Yeah.
You don't even like 3D Zelda games, so, I mean, that's another thing.
And this is one that I like, and that's what makes it the best one.
Oh, okay.
Now, does that make sense?
I mean, from that highly flawed perspective, it does make a kind of thing that is similar to Sense.
It's not that I don't like 3D Zelda games. It's that I've never loved a 3D Zelda game.
Right.
Probably the most fun playing a 3D Zelda game I've ever had was playing Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. It's probably the best time previously I've had playing a 3D Zelda game.
Can I tell you a quick aside? That was actually probably the least fun I've ever had playing a 3D Zelda game.
Why is that?
I think it was a combination of Ocarina of Time was finally old enough that it was really showing its age, but also pairing the exact same game but with brand new graphics made the gameplay parts of it that felt old feel extra old.
That's fair. I don't know. I just like.
That's just
I just
me.
thought I thought that the very few changes that was made to the game mechanically was enough to make it not annoying to play. Things like the bow being like you can use the motion thing. I thought that worked really well.
Thing.
And then you had the buttons for the boots, and so you didn't have to fucking go through your menu to get the boots, so you could be on the floor. Yeah, stuff like that.
I like me some gyro aiming. Breath of the Wild's got that.
I use that shit all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I do is I'll use the thumbstick for big aims, and then the gyro aiming for little tweaks.
Oh my gosh! Wow, you're the first person to ever think of that.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, so I just want to talk a little bit about my first my first half an hour playing this game. Just a couple of the things that happened. So the first thing that happened was I turn on.
Keith, go ahead.
Okay, I think a lot of this stuff is based on, games where you're playing the game and you shoot at glass and nothing happens. And then there's those games where you shoot at the glass and the glass breaks.
No, Keith, I don't know games like that because I only play games developed by George Broussard, where everything is highly interactable.
Well, can you imagine a game where you shoot at the glass and nothing happens?
I shudder to, but I believe I could imagine that.
Okay, so my first half an hour of playing Zelda, and I don't think that this is like a great litmus test for like all games where it's like, this is how all games should go. But I think that in this specific case, like, just the idea of trying something out, having an idea in a game and trying it out without any direct prompting to try it, and that thing that you tried working, and the reason that it worked is because the game was subtly showing you that you can do these things.
Right.
Without
the game
saying, hey, you can do this.
Yeah, the game doesn't say, hey, you can chop down trees. Instead, like, one of the very first things that you have to run past is just like an axe sticking out of a tree stump. And so you would just naturally try to cut down a tree.
Thank you for getting 5 minutes ahead of me.
Okay.
So, the first thing that I did was I walk out of my room, my bedroom, Link's 100-year bedroom, and I saw a big rock, and I'm like, that rock looks different than the other rocks. And again, I have not played almost any of the. I have not listened to people talking about this game. I haven't really watched a ton of footage of the game. I'm as blind as you could expect someone to be that follows video games very closely. And so I was like, I wonder if I can push that rock. It looks like a rock that's pushable. And I jumped up on the thing and I pushed the rock, and it was great. It was so good. And
I remember that rock.
Yeah, I pushed the rock, and I was like, oh, that totally worked. And what happened was it rolled, and I followed it, and what it did was it ran straight past a bad guy, and that bad guy wasn't paying attention to shit, and all of a sudden, he's up, and he's like, there's a fucking rock here. And he was absolutely startled by the rock. And I was like, oh, this is a game where you can push rocks. And then the enemies know that big boulders are not a usual thing in their lives, and they get startled by that. And that's so good. It was great. And
this is a game where monsters get scared by big rocks.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game that is like actively showing you over and over again that, or it's a game that's trying to give like life to even the monsters that are living in the game, and being like, oh well, friend of the show Jack DeKeat was talking about how the first time he knocked a weapon out of an enemy's hand and he picked it up, and the monster like pointed at him and yelled as if to say, mine, that's mine.
Yeah.
And that's another great thing. And so then one of the next things that I did was I saw the axe that you were talking about. It was called Woodcutter's Axe. Is the name of the axe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I wonder if I can cut wood with this axe. And then it fucking totally worked. I hit it once, and it had like the cartoon version of a fucking lumberjack when when a tree is one good swing away from being able to be cut down. Yeah. And I was like, I bet if I give this thing one more good swing, it'll totally work. And I gave it one more good swing, and it totally worked. It fell over, and then it fucking rolled down a hill, and it was really cool. And And then the third thing that happened was I found a bow, and I was like, I've been picking
Did
up
you really
apples.
find a bow? It took me a while.
I found a bow, yeah, within the first 20-ish minutes, yeah.
Okay.
So I found a bow, and all this time I found apples, and I killed an animal, and it gave me like meat or something, and I was like, oh, there's food in this game. I was like, I found a river with fish swimming in it. I was like, I wonder if I could shoot these fish. And so I took my bow and I shot at the thing, and then an arrow piercing the fish kind of floated up to the surface, and I was like, I'm hunting fish with a bow. And that was the moment where I was like, everything I'm doing in this game is working, and it was so good.
I feel that.
That was like my first experience with the game. Like literally,
Sure.
like I wasn't even at home. Like I bought the Switch on my way to work. I was sitting at work on my break. Like,
oh man.
Yeah, I had to go out to my
extra special.
Yeah, I had to go out to my car and do like the system update on a tethered connection with my phone because the store Wi-Fi wasn't good enough.
That's weird.
And
you don't have to do that though to play the game, right?
You do. It said that you did, I think.
That's weird.
I connected to the system to set up the system. So I connected to the internet to set up the system. And then it was like, hey, by the way, to fucking do an update to this game. And so I was like in my car, like, I hope this tether connection downloads the fucking thing. And I ran back in the store. I was like, I got 45 minutes. And I started playing, and then I had like a really amazing first 25 minutes.
That's a really fucking long break, dude. Where are you getting these 45-minute breaks after you download system updates?
So the way that it works when you're a server is that there's, instead of everybody starting at the same time, everybody finishing at the same time, it's staggered. So like the first person will start at 10:30, and then someone will come in at 11:30, and then a few people will come in at noon, and then they work, and then in that order they'll get off of work, and then there's a second shift because they don't need people from like 2:30 to 4:30. It's really slow, so they don't need like 5 people working. So then one person will start back on at 4, and then 1 or 2 more people will start at 4:30, and then at 5, and then 5:30. And so because the Switch had come out, I swapped my shifts around.
Go back.
I switched my shifts around.
Thank you.
So that I got, and it was pretty slow. So I was able to get off at like 2:15. And then I didn't have to be back on again until 4.
Okay.
So I had.
That was a really roundabout way. That was a very, very long way of just saying, I wasn't on a break. I just kind of switched my shift around, so I was starting later than usual.
Well, that's just, I work a double shift every day. So the time in between my shifts, I call my break.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I usually don't have a break. I usually start at noon and go till 4, and then start back on at 4, and then go until 8 or 9. So I usually don't get that time, which is why I had to switch stuff around.
Switch it around.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my first like experience with Zelda, and like pretty consistently since then have had similar experiences, in the game. And then what will happen is that eventually I'll get to a place where they tutorialize and they go like, hey, by the way, you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I figured that shit out like forever ago because you were kind of subtly hinting at it the whole time.
Yeah,
I think the only thing...
This game, really doesn't tutorialize you on really almost anything. Like, it tells you the basic controls of like how to attack things and stuff, but that's more or less it.
Yeah, and there's they have further combat tutorials in some of the shrines that you encounter later on.
Oh, you're right. That's true.
Yeah,
but you're right. But that stuff is later. Like you can play for many hours before you get to that.
And so, I think that what you said, they don't really tutorialize a ton of the stuff. Is I think showcased by I tweeted out a picture, a screenshot of me shield surfing. Which is something that I discovered I could do by accident. And then Kyle, who also has played the game for, 20 hours probably?
At least.
At least 20 hours? Was like, how the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was just running around and I did this and then I did it and then it tells you how to do it.
Yes.
Once you do it by accident, then it's like, hey, what you just did is shield surfing. Here's how you do it.
Which is I
think it's great.
In one sense, is kind of great in that like they set about not telling you about it, but then if you discover it, they're like, okay, you caught us. Here it is.
Yeah,
but
I just
there
like the
is
idea
kind
that
of like
it's
this backwards insanity to the idea of it only telling you how to do something after you've done it already.
I like it in the sort of idea where it's like, if you put yourself as Link, no one in that world is going around shield surfing,
right?
and another video game might have, even another Zelda game might have had you like come across a stable and there's like two farmhands shield surfing down a hill and you're like, what are you guys doing? And like, we're shield surfing. Like, how do you do that? Well, you press LR and then you jump and then you press A. Do you want to do a race? And instead of that sort of way of teaching you how to do it, it feels like Link accidentally going like I'm doing this thing, and then it's like, oh, maybe that's useful. Maybe I should remember how to do that. And then the game says like, well, here's how you remember how to do that. You do this button, then this button, then this button.
Right.
You basically guard with ZL. You guard with ZL, and then you jump, and then press A. Press B and then press A, or Y and then A. Y is a default jump.
X is the
what?
X is the top button on Nintendo.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
I switched it so that B is jump forever ago.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, immediately.
That's dumb.
Why?
Because then you're canceling things with the top button. That doesn't make sense. You cancel things with B. B is cancel.
No, B still works to cancel.
Huh.
It also works to jump.
Well, it's too late now because I've been playing for 30 hours with the jumping with the top button, so it's fine.
Yeah. Do you have anything about Zelda? You said you had an underwhelming first little while because of how much Zelda stuff you had.
Yeah, consumed. I mean, there's not much to say about that idea because I can't really even articulate it that well. It was just kind of like,
Do you think it's because the stuff was familiar? Because you said that it was because you had heard so many glowing things and it didn't live up to the glow. But is it just that, I've heard about all this already, so you're just getting through to the...
No, well, maybe there was a little bit of that, but I think it was... Like, I avoided all gameplay footage, so I hadn't actually seen what the game looked like or anything. So I think it was more like just listening to a lot of people talk about a thing and kind of imagining it in my head, and then just like... The game did not match what was in my head, mainly because it never could have possibly matched it because I just made up a nothing in my head.
Right. What did you think it was going to be like?
I don't know. That's the point, is like a game you imagine in your head doesn't actually exist, right?
Yeah.
It's like a location in a dream. It's not real. But I would say this is actually something that permeated my experience with it for like many of the first hours, like the first 10 to 15 hours maybe. And I'm just now kind of getting past it, is like, this game's really fucking hard.
Oh, really? You think so?
Or maybe it's not hard so much as like, the game is not your friend. Like, it's not a friendly game. Like, it does not, the game does not like you.
It's sometimes really bright and pretty.
Yeah. But like, it's just like, it's like your weapons break constantly, and like there's enemies everywhere, and especially this is actually one of the
you cook. This is something that I don't want to forget this, even though it's a small point.
Okay.
So you're always finding food, but the food doesn't heal you a ton. And what you have to do with the food is you have to cook it. And so you've used these ingredients that you have to make something much more potent. But what happens is that then that food heals you too much. So you go from having like an apple and a meat that could have cured you 2 stars when you have 3 stars, and that's almost good enough. And then you combine those into food that heals you like 7 stars, and you have 3 stars, and it's like I can't get you can't at the beginning you can't get the right amount of heal.
Yeah.
To not be like is it more efficient for me to not heal myself all the way, or to cook something and then heal myself too much?
I think it's the
you know
too
what I mean?
much one.
I think but you know what? I'm
There's
not
no
always
downside
sure.
to it,
because
Keith.
sometimes, well, the downside is, are you putting too much ingredients into this thing? Is it better off to just eat 3 or 4 apples, or to like find a cooking spot and cook the food and think about like what is going in it? You know what I mean? Or when you're like I need to make something with that gives you a boost to your defense. But you've got to put enough stuff in there. You can't just cook the thing by itself because it won't give you as good of a bonus. So you put in more stuff, and then it's like, okay, well now it's healing me by 8 health, and then it's giving me defense boost. But I'm using it before the fight, so I don't need the 8 hearts.
You don't
and
need
I
the
only
hearts.
have 4 hearts anyway.
You just want the defense boost, or you're hurt and you need to heal, but you're like, well, I don't want to waste my defense boost on healing
Exactly,
myself.
right. So the way to get by is to cook your stuff, but then there's like a necessary amount of waste that the game's asking you to either be inefficient or be ill-prepared.
I think you go with inefficient.
Well, before you said ill-prepared.
No, I didn't.
See? Yeah, you did. You said
No, I
not
didn't.
eat enough. You said eat the too much health, and that's the ill-prepared.
Yeah. No, that's inefficient. Because you're wasting healing potential at the benefit of not being hurt, thus ill-prepared. Anyways, you had your time with Zelda. Now let me talk about my time.
I'm sorry.
This is my
I just wanted to get
time.
into the you know what? But I was saying all that in support of your point because this is a team effort.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem that Zelda has really always had up until the very last one, Skyward Sword, where they finally let you start with 6 hearts. 3 hearts is not a lot of hearts, especially in this game. So, like, I'm getting one-shotted, or not like one-shotted, but just like killed out of nowhere constantly in the first 5 hours. Because I'm just like fighting a guy, I'm taking like 1 or 2 hits, but I'm not doing that bad. Oh, wait, I'm dead. Fuck. What the hell? Like, I'm like, sure, I need to eye my health a little bit better, but like 3 hearts is a very small number of hearts.
I don't have any of that experience.
That's really weird.
Yeah. Well, the different enemies do different amounts of damage, but at the beginning, you're only seeing the right enemies anyway.
Yeah, I know, but like, I don't know. I feel like I was just taking like normal damage. Anyways, I think this game, I mean, it's become so. At this point, complaining about comparing things to Dark Souls has in itself become its own tired cliche.
In the episode of Mario that only 15 minutes ago was uploaded to contentburger.biz, we made fun of comparing hard games to Dark Souls.
Yeah, but I think it would be I mean, like, look, Dark Souls has had a profound impact on the world of game design, and it would be almost irresponsible to not say that this new Zelda game is clearly influenced by the wave created by Dark Souls, basically. Like, and in many respects, like, I've heard many people in the past say that games like Dark Souls feel like they are like sort of embodying the spirit of games like the original Zelda. So in a sense, this is almost like Zelda taking back its thing. But I feel like it totally
sort of
is following that kind of stuff. Exactly. It is eating its own tail, so it's just...
Which, by the way, is a really good elixir that you can make in Zelda.
Yeah, so I mean, the game's not like crushingly hard, but it's not there to be your buddy. Like, it's there, to offer you a challenge. And I think that was, I guess maybe it just wasn't what I was expressly looking for in a game that was so much about like open exploration. And I'm a huge fan of the other Zelda games. After Skyward Sword, though, I was totally ready for like a huge change like this. So it wasn't like the biggest problem in the world, but it kind of was like I couldn't help but kind of feel like, okay, yeah, like I wanted this game to be really different, but like this isn't even a little bit like Zelda. Like this is absolutely nothing like a Zelda game. And I think maybe that was sort of like subconsciously detracting. Yeah.
I think that it's very Zelda-y.
In what way?
Like a lot of the things that go along with it have changed, like the way that weapons work have changed, but they've always had like just like every weapon is a Deku stick. Like that's just
yeah, well, I guess maybe I'm getting at it's like it's sort of like, yeah, you could look at Breath of the Wild. Like, if you just looked at Ocarina of Time and then looked at Breath of the Wild, you'd be like, yeah, these games are totally the same, but, you know, albeit separated by 20 years of, you know, game advancement in game development, these are basically the same game. But when you look at, when you take a wider view at it and you see that, like, oh, every game from Ocarina of Time to right it before Breath of the Wild was like literally identical to Ocarina of Time. Not literally, but effectively identical. And then there was Breath of the Wild. It's totally different.
It is a similar but much more drastic shift to the Pokemon shift from basically every single game being identical, even the one that dramatically changed the visual appearance to Sun and Moon operating just differently enough to be like, oh wow, this game took like 2 steps forward instead of half a step forward. But in Zelda, it feels like from Ocarina of Time until Skyward Sword, it felt like a yearly release, and then all of a sudden they zipped forward into 2017.
Yeah.
Good for them though to be able to even pull that off.
I know it's crazy. It's amazing. When you were talking about like, oh, you know, it's like the monsters have a life of their own, and you know, like they were surprised by a rock because a rock's not supposed to be there. It almost makes you feel like this is not to like pigeonhole people or whatever, but like I feel like it's specific. It's kind of like a more like a Japanese game development thing, and even more specifically a Nintendo thing, where like they'll explain why they didn't do more with their game by saying like, oh, well, if we did this one thing, then we'd have to do this other thing and this other thing and this other thing. Like, we couldn't have monsters walk around freely because then they would need to have their own like houses, and they'd have to be scared by rocks if they saw a rock that wasn't supposed to be there. You'd be like, dude, you're going crazy. That's like the weirdest excuse I've ever heard for not having a monster walk around. But then you look at Breath of the Wild and we're like, oh, I guess you were serious. Like, you needed to make an entire world just to have monsters walk around. That's weird.
But it worked. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Here's a fun thing. So it is not spoilers to say that Link was like, asleep for 100 years and then he woke up.
No.
And that's the start of Breath of the Wild. Because that's the start of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
The thing that I will say about that, this is just a funny observation, I think. Get ready. This is about to be funny.
I'm prepared to chuckle.
Like, wow, Link was asleep for 100 years? That's crazy. It's crazy to be asleep for 100 years and wake up and be exactly the same. And then you start playing Breath of the Wild, and basically everyone you meet is like, Link, we thought you were dead. Remember me? And then it's like, wait, I thought you was asleep for 100 years. How come all these people remember you?
Wait. I think it's just the Sheikah and the Zora, though, right? And I think you can just explain it away by being like, they live a long time.
You mean almost everyone you meet in the game?
Well, I'm
the first people that I met was the first people that I met were the Sheikah. That's the first people everybody meets. The second people that I met was a Zora. Pretty sure that's the second people everybody meets. And then, there's like randos walking around. So it's like the first 20 fucking hours of the game are just filled with everybody who already knows who you are. It's fucking weird.
It is. It's an interesting way to tell a story, though, because it's sort of like this weird combination of like, they're doing the thing of like, oh, 100 years ago a bad thing happened, and now you have to right the wrong that was done 100 years ago. Blah. Except like everyone was there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they all still remember it, but you don't.
Yep. And someone on Twitter said this. Some people are even still mad at you for not having done it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
or then like they get mad at you for not having a memory. Like, not only did you fuck everything up, but you don't even have the decency to remember fucking it up.
Did we have more to talk about Zelda?
I think we do.
Okay.
I wanted to say, like, what I really appreciate about Breath of the Wild is how much it is refocused on like the substance of the gameplay and stuff, because like Zelda, I mean, I've always loved Zelda games. I've always thought that they were really fun to play, but especially with Skyward Sword, it did this thing that I think has a tendency to happen a lot. And I mean, it can happen in any in-game series, but I feel like it's specifically the thing that comes up again and again in like long-running Japanese game series, where like over time it becomes more about like the weird superficial fringe elements and stuff. Like, you got a sense that like the development team of Zelda like started to feel like Link holding a thing over his head and looking into the sky while they played a weird chime every time you found anything was like an essential part of Zelda. Like, it can't be Zelda unless he holds things over his head while there's music. And then, like, Skyward Sword went nuts with it because it was the 25th anniversary, and they tried to make this, like, ultimate Zelda game that had things from every Zelda game. Like, in Wind Waker, you sailed the sea on a red boat. And so in Skyward Sword, you fly through the sky on a red bird. And in Zelda 2, the princess was magically asleep for 1,000 years. So in Skyward Sword, the princess goes to sleep for 1,000 years for no reason at all. And it just like, it became this like insane Tower of Babel of like only superfluous, like superficial elements of Zelda, like above all else. And and then as punishment, God struck them down and they had to rebuild Zelda as something completely new. And that's why we have different languages.
That's fun.
Sorry, that metaphor got mixed up somewhere in the middle there, but I think it worked.
No, I think that you're right. And yeah, there's a lot, like, I think it's important to take note of how different this Zelda is from other Zeldas while still feeling like a Zelda game. And I think it does a really good job of like disproving that, like, well, we gotta have it over his head. We gotta have the thing over his head.
Yeah, he
has
to wear a pointy hat. It's not Zelda if he doesn't wear a pointy hat.
And
sorry, real quick. I do like that before they even really talked about how ridiculously different this game was from recent Zelda games, their sort of opening salvo to that was just to show like a quick teaser with Link, and he's not wearing his green clothes and his pointy hat, and it's just like that was their opening salvo. Like, strap in, motherfuckers. Link doesn't have his pointy hat anymore. Like, the gloves are off.
The audience gasps.
We're throwing out the rule book.
Something that I really love about this game is the music, especially the way that they redid like the classic Zelda notes.
Yeah, a lot of piano in there.
That's what I was gonna say, is that they took like almost the opposite. I know that you and I have briefly mentioned in other videos that we don't like how Pokemon chose to redo their music, where they took very simple tunes that are very catchy and super good, and we love them, and turn them into these big sort of faux orchestral 3DS sort of MIDI tracks.
They're sort of
I
like
love the
bloated.
idea that very bloated, sort of losing some of the original like. It even loses its own melody, essentially. And then
basically.
What Zelda did is they, like, the N64 was capable of making, several sounds at once. So, like, a lot of those Zelda games, they had more complicated sounds associated with different things, but instead of bloating those up, they paired. It's just like one guy with a microphone and a very stark piano, just like doing those classic sounds, like the you found a chest sound or you unlocked a thing sound. It's very, very, and then like contrasting that with the actual soundtrack of the game is like, it sounds really, really good. That's all I had to say about that.
Sure.
Kyle probably doesn't have any more music comments.
No, I got nothing about music. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So like, as I'm playing this game, it's like the comparisons it's mostly drawing in my head is like I'm thinking about Dark Souls and like that whole sort of like new wave of like games don't have to be your buddy kind of thing. Like, and that and like Skyrim, sort of like comparing it in my head. Like, how is this different from Skyrim? How is it similar to Skyrim? I don't know. Do we have any thoughts along that line of like how Zelda handles its open world and stuff like that?
I have something sort of tangential to that, which is I think that for a long time, just because that's the sort of guy that I am, it was really important for me for a game to have something interesting going on as like a readable plot.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing for me.
Yeah,
I don't think
you
it
were
has
big
been
into story.
And I still am, and I think that part of me that was just like give me a video game with an amazing story that it A still exists in me, but B hasn't been like as crucial of a priority for me for a while. But I think that playing this game has been sort of like a realization that I don't think that way anymore. Like in those serious of terms in terms of game story, where I'm playing this game and I'm like, this game is like phenomenal and is super fun to engage with and to like explore and to do all the things that the game is offering for you. And one of the things that it isn't offering even a little bit is like an interesting story that I care about even at all, or any dialogue or characters. Like some of the characters are fun or funny and cute, and I like I'm sort of half. I am fully committed to like, I want to do the thing where Link saves everybody.
Yeah.
I'm committed to that. I'm sort of half committed to like, I wonder what happens like for this. I wonder what happens for that. And even manages to have like a few touching moments where like, this one character thinks about her dad and this other character is like, happy about his ancestor.
You know what? Sorry, I forgot to bring this up when we were talking about like early on when we were playing. It didn't occur to me until just now, but I think a big thing for me was like dealing with the weird dichotomy between the gameplay of Zelda in this one being more or less 100% different, and then like all the story trappings feeling exactly the same as other Zelda games. Like it was so weird how like I would be playing the game and I'd be like, this doesn't feel like Zelda at all. This feels like a completely different game. And then there would be a cutscene and there'd be like a big rock man who is like next to a fish guy and they're talking about like fighting Ganon, and I'm just like, this is weird. These things shouldn't go together. Though I do think, even though what's interesting is that even though the story totally just feels like kind of yet another Zelda story, I still think it's probably the best one.
Yeah, sure. And even being the best one is like phenomenally bare bones. But I think that it's very healthy for me to play such an amazing game and have such a good time with it, and then like also be thinking like, this doesn't really have any story. Or this doesn't have the story that it has is not a writable story. You can't have a book of this game that does what the game does. It's just the game.
And I think that's important too, because
I
think it's important because a big part of the game is that you can more or less do anything in any order. So if you had a story that read like a book, you couldn't do that.
I mean, even apart from that, I just mean like there's something that you can write about, like being on a mountain, paragliding down into a patch of grass surrounded by these trees, and then having like a herd of deer there.
Wait,
right?
Keith,
Yeah?
hang on.
Yeah?
Are you saying that in The Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild, the player writes his own story?
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Oh, shit. Damn it.
I can see how it can sound like that. I am trying to say something slightly different.
Fuck.
All
right,
but I'm
God,
only
just say your
trying
fucking
to
thing.
say.
Shut up.
Okay.
Just finish it.
All right, thank you. I'm saying that the thing that you experience when you're playing Zelda is a story, and it has been crafted by the people that are playing it, but it is not one that is communicated in words and adjectives. It is one that is conveyed in a series of actions surrounded by pictures.
Hey, Keith?
Yeah?
Hey, my cousin Keith? Fucking notable living human piece of shit. That is what I just said, and you told me I was wrong.
No, I say crafted by the people
just
who made the game.
Yeah,
not
that's the whole
played
point of
the game.
God damn it, Keith. God damn it.
What? No, this is the playing Zelda is a specific experience crafted by specific people to elicit things in the player. Isn't different than the player crafting their own story, which is not a thing a video game's done ever.
Well, I think, no, but when people say that, like, oh, in this game, like, it's like the player is making their own story, what they mean is that it's about the player discovering their own emergent moments that come out of a game that is specifically designed by people to create those kinds of moments. Like, that's what that means.
But it's a very bad, like, it is not a good way of describing it. I think it's a bad shorthand.
I'm so sorry. Take it up with everybody who plays and talks about video games. My bad.
But
Keith.
that's why I made a point to describe a different thing very specifically, because I don't think that is a shorthand that works very well.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's not you. It is the majority of other people who won't stop using the same dumb shorthand for bullshit and weird dumb jargon. It's like saying saying something's visceral.
Well, people don't really do that anymore.
No, but it's the same sort of thing. That's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, though, because what's so interesting about the game and what really sets it apart from even things like Skyrim that are all about, oh, the big open world, you can go and there's interesting things everywhere, which, like, is maybe, I would say, arguable about Skyrim, but...
Very arguable about Skyrim,
yes.
I've really soured on Skyrim.
Me too, yeah. And that was like a... you know what? Cut that out. I'm not pursuing Skyrim on this one. I'll just go ahead and agree with you. But I think what really sets this game apart from other similar games is that it's like this big open world, and it feels like they really designed the game so that you can go anywhere, and they really almost feel like they're encouraging you to go anywhere and not to just follow the paths that are put in front of you. But it's this weird thing where it feels like you can go in any of your, like, 360 degrees around you, and it still feels like it was intentionally crafted that a person would go that way and do that thing.
Yeah. And a big part of that, I think, is the, and first of all, I just want to say out front, this is not a game with very many, like, side quests, or, like, there's very few of those.
No, it does
as far as I
have
can tell.
them.
It does have them, but there's very few of them. Like again, I've played, like, 25 or 30 hours of this game, and my quest log has, like, 6 things in it, like, all of it. And like, 3 of them are the main story. And it's like, it doesn't have, like, the Red Dead Redemption thing or it doesn't have much. There's a couple of these, but it doesn't have, like, you're walking along and you see some bandits attacking or whatever.
Yeah. Again, though, it does happen.
I did see a bokoblin attacking like a merchant or whatever.
Oh man!
But it wasn't like a scripted. We can't talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay, so, but like have you done any of the Korok seed things?
I have found 11 Koroks.
Nice. Okay. So that's sort of
real
apparently
quick.
There's like 900
I love
of them
that
or
about
something.
this game is that it just like straight up just takes characters from Wind Waker and just says like, we don't care that Wind Waker was like a weird cartoon. We're just gonna put these weird cartoons in our game.
Yeah. Well, this game is sort of like, I think this game is like artistically somewhere in between the Wind Waker and like a Dragon Ball Z game.
That's a weird pull.
Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, it's like very cartoony and kind of cel shaded, but but like also cartoony. Like it looks like someone was making a video game of a cartoon that exists, and that's sort of how like Dragon Ball Z games and Naruto games look like that.
Okay.
Especially like the very recent ones, but yeah, and like so a lot of the time when you're exploring, you're only exploring just to do it. Like maybe you're looking for shrines, maybe you're looking for whatever. There's no real side quests happening, but it's fun to climb up a mountain and see like what's around, and then paraglide to a thing. Maybe you can see a shrine, but like any weird fucking place you go, you're like, oh, there's a tiny little fucking puzzle here to get a seed. And it's like it's crazy the places that I found them, and like the things that you have to do to solve them. Like it can be as simple as being like, okay, well here's a cube of blocks, and here's 3 blocks, and there's another cube like lying on the ground. Okay, let me just attach this cube to the 3, and now there's 2 cubes, and then boom, you get a seed, and that's like one of the first ones that you find, like in the official, like near where that stuff is introduced to you. But then I've just been like in the middle of fucking nowhere on the top of a cliff.
You'll literally just pick up a rock, just to be like, oh, there's just a weird rock here. I don't know. I'll pick up this rock, and then it's like, boom, hey, you found me. You're like, what the? I wasn't even looking for you.
I wasn't looking for you. What are you like? Shut up. Go away. Or like I saw a like a thing in the grass somewhere, and I was like, oh, what's this thing? And like I thought it was maybe a bug. And like I tried to pick it up and I couldn't pick it up, and then I tried swinging at it with my sword, and then it was like, you found me, and I'm like, you're on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. Who are you playing with? Like a very elaborate game of hide and seek. But yeah, so so it's like a game, like even in the moments where it feels like even in the moments where it feels like you're going out of your way to be somewhere weird, the game goes like, we knew you'd come here.
Yeah, sure.
We knew you'd come here, and we put a little prize for you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I think I thought of a better way to explain the thing I said a minute ago about like going anywhere and stuff. Or maybe I should say what I almost forgot, because I've been playing this game so much, is that like what's so different about this game, and this is actually the one way it did end up being in the game the way I kind of imagined it in my head, because I was listening to people talk about it on podcasts and stuff, and I was like, this, like, even though this game sounds completely different from Shadow of the Colossus, the way people are talking about like climbing up mountains and exploring sounds just like Shadow of the Colossus. And like that's basically the climbing system that's in the game, is like you just have a stamina meter and you can basically climb anything anywhere as long as you don't run out of stamina. And like that, I guess, is what makes that's the fundamental thing that makes it so different from other open world games, is that they're basically incapable of railroading you because you can climb over anything. Like a normal, even Skyrim will be like, oh, well, we want them to walk down this narrow path, so we'll just put mountains that they can't climb on either side of this canyon, and then they'll have to go there. But like Zelda can't do that because you can just climb anything. And like that's what lends this like weird, like full 360 like exploration feel to the game. And it's like incredible verticality.
It also works really well with the way that they designed how enemies work. Have you looked into this at all?
What do you mean?
How the way the enemies like progress?
No. What do you
No?
mean?
Okay, so essentially the way that the game gauges what sort of enemies you should be facing, this is in the manual. I saw a screen cap of it on Twitter. Yeah, the way that it gauges what sort of enemies you should be facing is not by location or anything, although it does put like guardians in places where it's like, well, this is a high-level area. But for the vast majority of the map, like basically anything that isn't like fucking Hyrule Castle, the way that it works is the more enemies you kill, the more often you will see the stronger types of enemies. And so you can go through the whole game killing the bare minimum amount of people, and by the end, maybe you're seeing like the second or third strongest type of enemies. But if you're like me and you didn't know that, or you don't care, and you've been killing pretty much everybody around you, you're gonna start seeing like the 4th and 5th level enemies.
That's interesting. But then, of course, those enemies.
So it's sort of like I think I saw someone referring to Austin Walker. I didn't see him say this, so I don't know where that was. I think I saw someone referring to him, sort of comparing it to the Nemesis system from that fucking Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of the something.
Shadow of Mordor.
What is that? Shadow of Mordor, where it's like the more enemies you kill, they come back tougher and stronger, because they do have you've got to a blood moon, obviously.
Right.
The blood moon is like the system where it's like,
respawn.
Okay, well, it's basically all of the there's a big red moon that rises in the sky, and when it reaches midnight, all of the enemies that have died in the game respawn, essentially.
Which was weird. It's weird. Or I should say, it struck me as weird when that happened. They made such a big deal about all the enemies respawning, because up to that point, it hadn't even occurred to me that enemy deaths were permanent. I was like, isn't this a video game where the enemies come back? I don't know.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me either. It was only after that happened for the first time that I started retreading ground and being like, oh, I see these enemies. Like I hadn't gotten familiar enough with the terrain to recognize when an enemy hadn't or had respawned.
Sure.
And now that I am more familiar with it, now I can be like, oh, I killed these people before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of shrines.
Ooh, loving the shrines. How many health?
That's most of my thing. I wouldn't say that I really spend almost any time exploring just to explore, but I do spend a lot of time going out of my way to get shrines.
Yeah, I love doing the shrine. I wish the shrine... I like how varied they are. I was really excited when one time I found a shrine that whose answer depended upon another shrine.
Oh, really?
I thought that was very cool. I haven't seen it again. I hope there's more of that, because that was super interesting.
You must have gotten a couple of the shrines where the entire puzzle is just revealing the shrine, and then when you go inside, they're like, oh, you already passed the test just to get here. Here's an orb.
That was great. Yeah. I didn't get my first one of those until the Goron section.
Okay.
And that was great. Yeah, like it had been like 20 hours before I saw my first one of those, and upon seeing it, I was very excited. Like I thought that was a very interesting twist.
Yeah, I think I've gotten like 2 of those.
Yeah, same too. Both in the Goron, both like basically it wasn't. I don't think it was in the Goron area. One of them was, but they were both like I was on top of Death Mountain, and then I was like, I'm gonna paraglide to that shrine way over there.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other fucking thing is the paraglider, because it's like not only can you climb up anything, but then once you climb it up you can just glide like 1,000,000 miles away.
Yeah. Yep. And it is. I think with your default stamina, you can fly for like a full minute.
Yeah, practically. How much stamina do you have?
Right now, I think I am. I think I've gotten 3 additional pieces. So I do not yet have a full extra piece.
I think I'm exactly the same at that point. But yeah, it's like I think early on it's hard not to. So for anyone who doesn't know, every time you do one of these shrines, you find these hidden shrines spread throughout the world, and you go inside, you usually have to solve some kind of environmental puzzle, and then you get an orb, and then every time you get 4 orbs, you can trade it in for either a heart container to elongate your life, or extra stamina to elongate your stamina meter. And I think early on it's hard not to trade in for hearts because you have so little health. But
yeah,
man, extra stamina is like that's like the luxury. It's like you don't really need it, but it's really nice to have.
I actually think if you're having a really easy time with the game and things are not difficult for you, it is very difficult, but maybe try to get a stamina piece first and then like alternate back and forth. Because there are other ways to get heart containers. I do not think there are other ways to get stamina containers.
Yeah. Though the other ways to get heart containers are few and far between, especially when you're starting out.
Yes.
Though it was interesting, I was listening to the Bombcast again, and Jeff Gerstmann is weird, and he gets bothered by weird things in games. And
yes.
I guess the for some reason he found the stamina meter to be very, very restrictive. So he said he actually spent his first 2 sets of orbs on stamina pieces.
If he wants to like constantly be sprinting, then I totally get it.
I guess so. I don't know.
Otherwise, I've found that like if you can climb anything as long as you find yourself a foothold to just stand on for a second.
Yeah. That's the other part of it that's a lot like Shadow of the Colossus, is like climbing up stuff and like kind of running out of stamina, but just trying to eyeball what parts of the terrain are just flat enough that even though you're technically climbing on it, if you hit the let go button, you'll actually just stand up and get your stamina back.
Yep. Man, really good game.
It's a good game. I've liked it the whole way through, but really in like the last maybe like of the time that I've played so far, the last third of it, I think I've really started to enjoy it even more than I was before.
That's good.
I think really once I finished like the Zora section, like.
Did you do Zora first?
I did, yeah.
Okay, same.
I liked it well enough, though I actually, the one thing that I've had to go online and look up was I needed a little nudge to really understand what the hell I was supposed to do in like the dungeon essentially of the Zora area.
100% same. Actually, I've had to look 3 things up, and this is like maybe the biggest knock that I have on the game, which is, not huge because they're all things that I probably would have figured out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of the things I was like, man, I can't figure out the solution to this. I've got to look it up. And then all 3 times it's been like, I just didn't know about this thing. Let me just do this thing.
Oh, okay. I was going to say what's happened to me a bunch of times. A lot of times I'll get stuck on something and I'll realize that the solution to what I was stuck on was something that the game had explicitly gone out of its way to teach me, but like 25 hours ago, and I hadn't seen it since. Like, there's just so many different things in the game that like sometimes you will just go 20 hours without seeing something again and then forget about it.
No, I've had pretty good luck with not that. It's the
did you have
I'm just
problem?
Gonna say it. The first thing was, and I bet it was the same thing for you, is that when you're in the dungeons, they give you a power to control an aspect of how the dungeon works.
For me, it was actually the problem was getting that power because there was a room with jail bars in front of the door, and as had happened 100 times thus far in the game, I went, I just have to solve some kind of puzzle and the jail bars will open. But actually, you were supposed to pry the jail bars open with your ice power, which I had done once 25 hours ago and then forgotten about.
No, I got that one immediately because it says anywhere where there's water, you can do this.
I know, I just forgot about it.
And then the power that gets you, I did not know that I could do that, and it was only an issue for 2 things in the game. One of them was like the very last thing, and then one of them was optional. And I got to the point where I only had that thing left to do, and I didn't know that I could do it. So I was just like, how do I get this fucking thing to work? And then I was like, I guess I just got to look up the solution. And it was like, so first open your map and then look at the power that you can use. And I was like, oh, I have a power I can use.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, mine was kind of like I probably would have had the exact same problem. It was just that I kind of did it in like the backwards order where I went to the guide
Right.
and it
You
was
saw
like
that you could do that
it was
because
like
you looked at the guide.
Yeah, it was like go in your map and change this thing about the thing, and I was like, how I can do that? How do I do that? And then I realized like, oh, I'm just like my problem is I'm an idiot who can't figure out how to open the door into the room to get the map.
Yeah. All right, now I'm starting to lose my voice.
Great. Hey, it's almost midnight. Maybe we should stop.
Yeah, we should stop. I mean, it's only been 2 hours. It's not like we went crazy long.
No, it's not. But it's still kind of late.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for joining us, guys. Wow.
Oh my God! Thank you. It's really nice that you guys would join us on our talk about the Nintendo Switch and the 2 games that are on it.
Oh man, you're talking about how you're hoping like smaller games come out more frequently for the Switch.
Yes.
I wouldn't call this frequent because it's still like a month and a half away or more. But it's coming out on April 25th.
What's up?
Puyo Puyo Tetris, dog.
Nice. I was actually I made a Japanese eShop account, which is super easy to do.
I just heard about that.
I was going to buy it. I did this literally the first day because I saw a tweet about it. I was going to buy it, but it's fucking like 5,500 yen. What?
Oh. Well,
yeah, Japanese game prices are crazy.
I mean,
Zelda was like 75,000. Sorry, 7,500, not 1,000. 7,500 yen.
No, wait. Yeah. Okay, wait. It was 7,500?
Yeah, 7,500 for
Dang.
Zelda, 5,500 for Puyo Puyo.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying 75 for Puyo Puyo. I'm like, that's fucked up. I mean,
Yeah,
55 is
so
still kind of fucked up, but I guess we'll have to see what the American price is. But
I think it's 30.
I will
think
still
it's 30.
probably, let's be real, I will pay any price for Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Wow. It's cool. I downloaded the demo. It was pretty fun.
That was the thing. I just learned that you can make a Japanese account and download the demo, so I'm on that.
And if you've got, you can do 2-player, I think, in the demo.
Ooh.
I think.
Ooh.
So it's like, why would you ever need to buy the game if you plan on playing with your friends? Because, for other backgrounds or characters, it's a fucking puzzle game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is maybe like a language barrier thing or maybe you just haven't noticed, but it's been a thing for like all Nintendo systems so far that downloadable demos have a use limit on them, and maybe that's exactly why. So that you can't do that.
Yeah, that's maybe true. Yeah, I don't I cannot read Japanese, so I did not notice any numbers.
Yeah, you probably couldn't read the Japanese numbers was the problem.
No. Most of the I will say this, apparently most of the games in the eShop have an English language option, so if you do decide to spend the enormous amount of money that they cost,
I don't think that's one of them though. I would be surprised if it was.
Possible. It's, you know what? I bet it does. I bet it's one of the ones that does.
Yeah. But I gotta say, like, I've heard, or whatever. I don't have to tell you that I've heard people complain about the launch lineup of the Switch. Obviously, that's like most of what everyone's talking about with the Switch. I think that it is true that it is definitely a thin launch lineup, but it's a thin launch lineup that includes like one of the biggest, best games that Nintendo's ever made. So, like, you kind of have to weigh that out. But I am definitely
and you also have to
games.
give them. You also have to be like, and this is also their first system launch after like the game, like after the system that killed third-party support for them, and then the system after that did not help.
Right. And then, of course, no matter when your system comes out, the systems are really sold at holiday, and it's springtime. So even though this is a weak excuse because people are buying systems and then don't have a lot of games to play for them, I guarantee you the way Nintendo is seeing this is like, oh, we're basically putting this out 6 months early. Like, launch time's in November, but we're putting it out now to get a head start.
Yeah, I feel good about the Switch. I feel good about its future. I feel good. I feel less worried than I did.
Keith,
like
could I tell
6
you?
months ago about
It really sounds like, comparing what you're saying now about the Switch to what you were saying a few months ago about the Switch, it really seems like your stance on it has changed.
Yes, my stance on it has done a complete change.
Right. It's different than it was before.
Yes.
I just wanted to point that out.
I've really swung around on it.
Yeah, you've done a bit of a 180 turn.
Yeah.
Ooh, could we talk about what we should name this episode? Season of the Switch?
Ooh, that's good.
Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Switch?
The blood moon rises once again.
I don't know any witch things. I'm not very supernatural.
Scratching the Switch.
Switchcraft.
Ooh. Scratching the Switch. You don't like that one?
I like that. That's good.
Okay. Blair Switch Project.
Is this Blair though? I mean, it is Project.
I mean, if you're playing Zelda with the speakers turned up really loud.
Okay. I'm just gonna go to the witchcraft page of Wikipedia and go to in pop culture.
Oh, it's Salem Switch Trials.
Okay. We're close enough.
There you go.
You know that the Salem Switch trials actually happened in Danvers?
I do know that. It's so stupid. This is why you can't get hung up on anything that's happened in history, because people just fucking lie about it, guys.
Yeah, everything is, yeah. Here's the thing. History is written by the victors and also idiots. Just people write it. Just regular people who are wrong about shit all the time.
Did you see
fun history fact, the reason why the Salem witch trials actually happened in Danvers is because that whole area used to be called Salem. So it's called Salem at the time, but now it's called Danvers, and the area that is now called Salem is nowhere near where it's near, but it's not like it is not where that stuff actually happened.
Yeah. And Danvers was just like, no, it's cool, you can keep it. Like, we don't need that.
I bet they're really sour on it.
I don't think so.
No?
Well, okay, I'm sure people that live there that think it's cool are sour on it, but I don't think, like, the mayor of Danvers is, like, wishing that their whole town was about witches.
Dude, I absolutely bet that
they want that
wishing
tourism.
on a star to have that tourism money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
you go to Salem.
Hey, what if our entire town didn't have to do jack shit until October?
Yeah, you go to Salem in the fall, and it's just like, no, fuck that. Sorry, you go to Salem any time of year, and it's just nothing but witch shit everywhere.
Yeah. I do sort of recommend going to Salem if you live nearby anytime from like mid-September to mid-October, and don't go after mid-October. It's just a nightmare.
Sorry, did you see my Frontier Myth Zelda tweet?
No.
Oh, okay. That's just where it reminded me about like the history thing was I tweeted, I said, the people in Zelda suck in the exact same ways as the people in real life. And it's just a guy I met walking down a path, and he's like, should I check my map or should I go by intuition like the original Trailblazers? A troubling dilemma. And then I just put in big letters, I just put Frontier Myth.
There's a lot of racists in the game.
There's
a lot of people that are either really mad or really glad that you're a Hylian.
Wait, yeah. Wait, what was that? I didn't know the hashtag. You did like hashtag GZ something. I'm guessing the Z
Zora
was Zora
great again.
Oh, okay. Damn it. Shit. See, that's how outside I am on all this like all this internet hatred is. I don't even recognize that.
Yeah. Make it a hashtag. It was a Zora who was like saying that Hylians were lowly people and that he didn't want your help. And I just have hashtag MZNA. Wait, MZGA. Anyway, that's it. Bye.
Okay, bye. Sorry, World of Warcraft Wrath of the Switch King.